Adam Levine.
Hi.
Hi.
Listen, I have nothing to prove. It's not versus anything. You know, I'm not the kind of person that's gonna care too much about anything outside what we do, because it's what we do, and as long as we make what we do the best it can possibly be, the rest of it is just, they're just other shows with other agendas, and they do other things. I think that they're extremely different in their presentation. The one thing I will say about The Voice, and the one thing that I've never liked, and I've always been very vocal about this, I don't like, just kind of go back a couple of years, when I sat with Mark Burnett and he pitched the idea of the show, the first question I had, the first question we all had, by the way, was, or not a question, but more a demand, was we're not gonna make fun of these people. We're not gonna sit there and, you know, criticize them in a mean way, in a nasty way. We're not gonna make people feel bad about themselves. There's just no point. It doesn't make any sense to us to ever intentionally hurt somebody's feelings. That's not the business that we're in. So I think the main thing that sets us apart is we're not there to judge and to laugh and to make people feel stupid. That's the biggest difference. Obviously, there's the turning of the chairs and the gimmicks that Randy Jackson so lovingly refers to. But, you know, I think there's just a really good, genuine, positive feeling that the show exudes that people really respond to. And by the way, you know, another thing that makes our show different is that nothing is scripted. There are no gags. There are no premeditated, let's get ratings by doing some stupid shit. That doesn't happen on our show. Every single word that I say, I've been very sure, very careful actually, all of us have. From the beginning, we've made sure that those are really words that we say because we feel we want to say them. So no one ever feels like we're putting on a show. We just feel like we're coaching these amazing singers. And yeah, I think that it's really interesting to see people start to get comfortable doing this, because I can tell you about people who were, from the very beginning, people I thought were going to go all the way, or at least get very far, who crumble. And then on the same end, I can see somebody who started off with a very meek, kind of nervous presence, who constantly was getting nervous, or chose a couple bummer songs, or didn't have too many great moments, who just makes it all the way through to the end. I think that responding to the pressure of the show, now that it's become this institution that it is. I mean, when we started, Javier Colon, that was an interesting moment, because the coaches didn't know what this was, or what it was going to be. Javier didn't really know what it was going to be, so when you think about it, he had nothing to lose, no nerves, kind of, hey, all right, let's start this weird new show. And now that it's become this thing, it's really interesting to see how people respond to what it is, because some people can't handle it, and they don't get as far, and that's a huge part of the competition. You know, all of these little things that become what makes somebody great on the show affect every performer differently. So it's impossible for you could have the best combination, or you could be the best coach in the world, but at the end of the day, if they don't make the shot, then there's nothing you can do. You just got to take them. You just got to kind of get them there, set it up, and hope they knock it down. I think that the winner of the show, whoever that winds up being, is the person who kind of survives all of the, mania around surrounding the show, which is that's a tall order. I mean, we've all had to deal with it in some version. This is obviously very extreme in a short period of time. So I think that, I go back and forth with this. I think it's important. I think eventually The Voice is going to have to, launch somebody into the stratosphere for the show to continue to be taken seriously. That being said, I think that the show is about a lot of things. Some criticized by saying that it's all about the coaches and their banter, and the artists are secondary to that. I don't believe that, but because the show actually, to me, revolves around the talent and our reaction to the talent. It would be really nice to have somebody emerge from the show and become what we all want them to become. However, one thing that's underestimated, especially when people critique the show, is that, and we know this because we've been through it, it's really, really difficult to make it. To exist outside of the bubble that is The Voice, I think that you have to, first of all, it needs to be seen through in a way that I don't think it has been yet. And I think that that's, I'm not placing blame anywhere, but like to see the torch carried a little further with these artists after they kind of graduate from The Voice, because that hasn't really worked yet. And a lot of that is left up to chance as well. And it is so hard. I mean, you know, one thing I can say about Idol is that Kelly Clarkson really, in my opinion, solidified the show's credibility and kind of kept the show afloat the whole time, because it was, I believe she was the first person to win. You know, and it's not like I watch American Idol all the time, but we all knew where she came from, and what she's achieved has been remarkable. That doesn't happen every day. And, you know, it's being lucky, it's being prepared, it's being at the right moment, at the right time. It's so many things. I think that we can do it. In fact, I'm sure that we can do it. I think that we're going to have to just kind of retweak how we bridge that gap, you know, because there definitely is, obviously, we haven't done it yet. Now, also consider the fact that we haven't had much time, and that in the however many, you know, decade plus that a lot of these shows have been on, a lot of these shows, I'm talking about Idol, of course, why hide it? You know, think about it, it's been rare, it's been difficult for that to happen, so give us a little more time. I think we'll get there. Yeah, well, it actually was 16 we started with the blinds this year. I believe it was 8, and then 16, no, 8, 12, 16, and now back to 12, because 16 is ridiculous. It just, it creates just a little bit, it's very hard to find anybody that's an amazing singer, but 16 people, I think that it was a bit overwhelming for the coaches, and also even for the audience. It was just a lot. I mean, you're talking about just so much. It was almost too much to process, so we're back to 12 now, and I think that's a better number. I think that works for everyone. I know, 6 months, I didn't know she was 6 months pregnant too. It's crazy. You know, it's bittersweet. No one can replace Christina and Cee Lo. It's not really possible. They're two extraordinarily unique people, and also very good friends of mine at this point. So it was really sad, actually. I wasn't happy about it at first, but then when I found out Usher and Shakira would be replacing them temporarily, I was optimistic, just because they're amazing artists in their own right, and it was nice to see that the caliber of artist was kept the same, and that even though they're very different, you know, it's going to be, you know, I knew it would be wonderful to work with them. Hopefully, you know, you can never account for what the chemistry is going to be, and the chemistry is there, which is nice. It's a different chemistry, but that was a transition, and it was fine. It was actually, I think it went very smoothly, and we're getting along great, and like I said, it is different, but trust me, you know, and as far as Shakira is concerned, she's not afraid to you know, knock me out. So.